With Sherman on his way to reinforce Burnside, Longstreet saw the writing on the wall. With not enough men to face Sherman in direct battle, Longstreet had some decisions to make about what he was going to do next. We will take a look at the events of December 3rd through the 5th to see how the Siege of Knoxville ended. All aboard the Kentucky-Tennessee Living Time Machine. Please fasten your seatbelts and keep your arms and legs inside of the vehicle at all times. But to get going, we need your help. We still need to fire up that time machine to transport us. Please help us by clicking on the like, subscribe, and bell notification buttons down below. Not only does this fire up the time machine for our flight back in time, but it convinces the YouTube algorithm that we need a bigger vehicle to reach more people who love history as much as you do. Now, back to our story. The events of December 3rd, 1863. On December 3rd, there were several events that took place with the 30,000 troops of Major General Sherman, who advanced on the east side of the Little Tennessee River. We will also take a look at the movements of Brigadier General James G. Spears and 3 Tennessee Union regiments at Sale Creek, who advanced on the west side of the Tennessee River. We will also take a look at what Lieutenant Longstreet was doing on that day. First, let's talk about Major General Sherman's movements. Major General Oliver Otis Howard's 11th Corps reached Loudon, Tennessee. The Loudon Rail Bridge had been destroyed. To improvise, wagons had been captured in the area and were used to construct a temporary bridge so that the Union troops could cross the river at that point. Rainy weather had caused the bank of the Little Tennessee River to flood at Morganton, Tennessee. Major General Francis Preston Blair, Jr., Brigadier General Jefferson C. Davis, and Major General Gordon Granger came across the problem. There was no bridge to cross at this point, so improvisation once again saved the day as the bridge was constructed so that the Union forces could once again move towards Knoxville, Tennessee. Major General Gordon Granger's 9th Corps was shifted in battle position from the left flank to the right flank by Major General William Tecumseh Sherman. Colonel Eli Long's cavalry division rode ahead of Sherman to reach Knoxville before dawn on December 4th, 1863. Now, we will cover the events that took place at the same time for Brigadier General James G. Spears and 3 Tennessee Union regiments at Sale Creek. On the same day, Spears and his troops reached Kingston, where he absorbed the troops of Colonel Robert K. Byrd and Colonel Samuel R. Mott. Spears did report that he had left Byrd with the 1st East Tennessee Mounted Infantry at Kingston. Spears also left instructions for Byrd to oversee the loading and unloading of cargo from a steamer. This steamer was stuck on the shoals below Kingston and was filled with important supplies that Spears would need. But instead of unloading the cargo completely, Byrd sent the steamer back to Chattanooga to transfer the load to a lighter draft boat. General Spears was not happy about that situation. While in Loudon, Spears ran into a Confederate cavalry brigade, which soon retreated and joined with Longstreet's divisions. General Grant was very clever in making sure that Longstreet got a copy of the message through Byrd in Kingston. In that message, Burnside was told that Sherman was on his way to help reinforce his position. Byrd was told to make sure that this message, accidentally on purpose, made it to Longstreet's hands. Spears' troops would occupy Loudon, while Mott's brigade, which included the 118th Ohio Infantry, continued onward, only to reach Knoxville on December 9th. Longstreet had received the message that Sherman was heading for him. Longstreet knew that he needed to retreat the area before the Union troops reached him, as Sherman's troops outnumbered him. Longstreet had a decision to make. Would he run his troops northeastward toward Virginia? Or would he take the mountainous route back to Dalton, Georgia, to join with the troops of General Bragg? It was decided that joining the troops of Bragg would be too difficult to travel, and thus he refused the request of General Wheeler to join with Bragg. He also needed the forces of General Martin to cover his rear guard as the troops made their retreat. Longstreet had Law's and Robertson's brigades to move to the north bank of the river so that the Confederate wagon train could start moving away from the city of Knoxville. So began the retreat of Longstreet and the end of the Siege of Knoxville. The events of December 4th, 1863. It was in the evening hours before the troops of Lieutenant General Longstreet began to withdraw from Knoxville. Moody's battery of 24-pounder howitzers was the last artillery that would be in action in the siege. The withdrawal was hard as it rained, making the roads hard to travel because of thick, muddy conditions. The temperatures dropped below freezing, which froze many of the soldiers' shoeless feet. It took 5 days for Longstreet's men to reach Rogersville, Tennessee on December 9, 1863, which was a distance of 64 miles. Many of the men were too sick and injured to march any further. These men were left behind with many other stragglers, and all of them were captured. The events of December 5, 1863, and afterward. Howard's troops reached Louisville, Tennessee on the evening of December 5th. Granger, Blair, and Davis arrived in Maryville. Hearing that Longstreet had retreated from Knoxville, Sherman sent Granger's 4th Corps ahead of him. Sherman, Granger, and Howard reached Knoxville on December 6th. Sherman was greeted with a shocking surprise. He had been led to believe that the siege of Knoxville was a complete siege and that the people were slowly being starved to death. Nothing could have been further from the truth, as when Sherman walked into the city, he was taken to Burnside's headquarters and treated to dinner. Understanding that Knoxville was safely in the hands of Union forces, Sherman ordered Howard's 11th Corps, Blair's 15th Corps, and David's division to immediately return to Chattanooga to help General Grant. Those troops reached Chattanooga on December 16th through the 18th of 1863. Brigadier General Washington Lafayette Elliott's 2,500-man cavalry and 6 guns were ordered to march from Alexandria, Tennessee, to Kingston for cavalry reinforcements. This was a welcome relief, as Elliott brought with him a wagon train full of fresh clothing for the Union troops, as they were still in their summer uniforms. They reached Burnside's troops on December 11th. Granger and his men stayed in Knoxville to reinforce Burnside's forces there. Aftermath. The cost of the siege of Knoxville, Tennessee was very dear. The Union had 92 killed, 394 wounded, and 207 missing, for a total of 693 casualties. The Confederates had 198 killed, 850 wounded, and 248 missing, for a total of 1,296 casualties. In next week's video, we will conclude the Knoxville campaign and discuss the winter of 1863 through 1864. Thank you. We at Kentucky Tennessee Living would like to thank you for watching our video series on the Appalachian War battles. Don't forget to hit that like button, as the more likes we receive, the more likely YouTube is to suggest our videos to other viewers. Also, to receive notice when we upload a new video, be sure to subscribe and click the bell notification button. Be sure to double check that you are subscribed, as some of our viewers are finding that they are no longer subscribed to our channel. We thank you for continuing to support Kentucky Tennessee Living as we are discovering the mysteries in Appalachian history.